4 of us out here? Yeah. I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. The board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Texas Government Code Section 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney. 551.072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 551.073, deliberation regarding prospective gift. 551.074, to discuss personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. The time is 5:31. Yep, it's good. The board will now reconvene into open session. The time is 6:39. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the trustees, I would like to welcome all of you to this evening's meeting of the Northeast Independent School Board. This is a business meeting of the board held in public. We appreciate your attendance and request your respectful attention. We welcome your comments during the matters from the floor section of the agenda. If you signed up to address a specific action agenda item, you will be called at that time. Finally, I would like to remind all of you that it is the mission of Northeast to challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. Next item.
5, Invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. A, Academy of Creative Education. Dr. Chris Throm, Principal.
Good afternoon, Madam President, board members, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests. Thank you for inviting the Academy of Creative Education to lead the invocation and pledges at tonight's school board meeting. Joining us today and representing ACE's student body are Jeffrey Hamlin and his proud mother, Vicki, and Destiny Higgins. Both Jeffrey and Destiny are models of excellence from the Academy and served as our Masters of Ceremony at the Academy of Creative Education's spring commencement last Friday, June 13th. Jeffrey, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Let us reflect on our nation's Pledge of Allegiance as those words express a set of beliefs that has shaped the course of our nation and the course of our lives. We are one nation, united in our belief to improve the quality of life and the quality of our citizens. Education makes it possible to be the best of which we are capable, and it is through our commitment to unity that we have overcome the tribulations of people to become the great nation that we are. We are indivisible, working together to become a force for peace and freedom. We will continue to grow as a people with the common goal of becoming citizens who nourish and support each other through the challenge of injustices to establish a community free from intolerance and strife, division and conflict. And through the liberties given to us, we are provided opportunities to cultivate our own interest and ideas so that we may live in a world where personal freedoms are balanced by a concern for all so that justice is not a privilege of the few. Our efforts here today bind us together as Americans, as one people, now and forever.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Face the Texas flag, please, and place your hand on your heart. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Students, thank you very much. If you'd like to come toward the front so we can award you some certificates. Mr. Wheat, would you mind presenting the certificates to our students? And Dr. Throm, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're proud that they're part of Northeast Independent School District, and I understand why Jeffrey's mom is so proud. I would be as well. Congratulations.
Graduation. Oh, wait. Picture. Smile.
Mrs. Huey would like to make a comment to our students.
I just wanted to
Throm?
say, Dr. Throm, it was a wonderful graduation last week, and you two just did a wonderful job as the Masters of Ceremony. Y'all were really, really very well done. So,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
Thanks again for being here. Next item.
6 recognitions. A, life-saving actions of Northeast Police Officer and Flex Nurse recognition.
Mr. Clary?
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests. If Nurse Guajardo Campo would join the officer at the front, please. On May 30th, Officer Tony Campo was directing traffic at Tejada Middle School when a vehicle pulled up next to him with a driver in distress. The driver advised Officer Campo that her husband, who was in the passenger seat, was having a possible heart attack and going in and out of consciousness. Officer Campo directed the driver away from traffic and out of harm's way and then notified dispatch to contact EMS. During this time, Flex Nurse Brenda Guajardo Pena was called to assist. Nurse Guajardo Pena immediately grabbed the trauma bag and instructed the clinic assistant to get the wheelchair and oxygen. She had Assistant Principal Alex Escamilla locate the automatic external defibrillator in case it was needed, then continued to administer and comfort the passenger until EMS arrived. Because of the quick action on the part of both Officer Campa and Flex Nurse Guajardo Pena, the passenger was successfully transported to the hospital and expected to have a full recovery.
I have to make this one comment about Nurse Brenda. She and I went to high school together. And we reunited at our 30th or 35th, I can't remember. Anyway, but anyhow, we had a wonderful time, and I was so thrilled when she told me she worked for Northeast. And all I can say to both of you is thank God for people that do what you do, because if it had been someone else, I would not have known what to do. So we value what you bring to our school district. And congratulations, and we're thrilled that you're here. You're a blessing, and so are you.
I think that was, too, one of the things that was so special to read in the paper. First of all, it was such they wrote about it so nicely in the paper, but to hear that you had prayed with her was just so incredible and such a nice thing for her to note. So I appreciate that a lot.
And Mrs. Grono's presenting you with certificates to thank you again for everything that you've done. Brenda. Thank you. Next item.
Just go from one great thing
Yeah,
to
we go,
another.
exactly.
Yeah. B, Reagan Baseball, state runner-up, 2014.
And this is Dr. Newman's item.
Broke it. There we go. There we go. President Bresnahan, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests, I would like to invite Jerry Komelander, our executive director for athletics, to introduce this wonderful group of individuals.
President Bresnahan, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, members of executive staff and guests, thank you so much for allowing us to be here and to introduce this group of young men to you that represented our school district and Reagan High School so well in the sport of baseball. Before I begin, I would like to just allude to an organization in our city that represented athletics extremely well last night. We all preach teamwork, we all preach total effort, and we all preach doing it with class. And not many times do you find a pro sports franchise that does that. And I think we're very privileged in San Antonio to have that. And so on behalf of the coaches in Northeast School District, they exemplified what we try to teach to young people. And I think that's very, very special. Athletics began in Northeast this year with Churchill High School's volleyball team playing for a state title. We ended the year with Reagan's baseball team playing for a state title. In between, we had Reagan's girls soccer team that finished tied for third in the state. We had two football teams, Madison and Johnson, who also finished tied for third in the state. And we had 5 other teams that were in the top 8 in the state. So it's been a great year for our student athletes and our coaches. Tonight, we're going to recognize a group from Reagan, the Reagan baseball team that went all the way to the state finals. First time we've had a Northeast school in the state tournament since 1987. Reagan entered the season, as they always do, with high expectations. District 26 5A is pretty tough. They wound up with a district record of 10-2, which tells you the difficulty of just getting to the playoffs. They started their playoff run by defeating New Braunfels Canyon. The next opponent was Brandeis. They went from there to Corpus Christi King and then to Laredo Alexander, and that set up a 1-game playoff for a berth in the state tournament with Eagle Pass. Just as they've done all year, they showed the tenaciousness that it takes to not get down when things aren't going your way. They went into the bottom of the 7th inning, trailing 1-0, scored twice, and won that game 2-1 and earned a berth in the state tournament. In the state tournament on Friday, the Rattlers won again a come-from-behind victory, 5-4 over Humboldt Atascocita, which put them playing for the state championship. They came up a little short in the finals, but walked away with the silver medal. Great accomplishment by an outstanding group of young people and their coaches. So we're very proud of what they were able to accomplish this year in their sport. We've had 5 trips to the state tournament by Lee High School back in the 60s and 70s. We had a trip by MacArthur in 1966, who finished with a silver medal, by Roosevelt in 1980, who finished with a silver medal, by MacArthur again in 1987, who finished with a silver medal, and now for the 4th time earning a silver medal is the Reagan Rattlers' first trip to the state tournament. Quite an accomplishment. Unfortunately, with summer vacations and other obligations, we have a few youngsters that could not make it. I do want to call their names before we get to the ones that are here. The first of those being Troy Montemayor, who was a starting pitcher sometimes on Friday night, sometimes again on Saturday. He had yeoman's work this year. He was a senior, he was all-district, all-state, and he made the all-state tournament team. Eli Chiluetti, Raymond Garza, Reese Sinclair, Josh Cofield, Adam Heath, Ryan Ramirez, John DePola, and Jake Hoggett were all members of that team that could not be here tonight. And we open with our first member of the group, Austin Eben. I will say just a word about some of the youngsters that started on that baseball team. Next is Brian Warhurst. Brian was a senior center fielder. Chased down a lot of fly balls. Mason Graves. Jace Seltzer. Joe Constantine. Will Post. Carter Sharp. Martin Perez. Trent Yeglick. Christian Nichols was not able to be here tonight. I think he's in the hospital, but he was also a member of that team. Brett Pirana. Nick Ahrens. Eric Marrero. Kevin Green. Connor Heffron. Connor dates me a little bit. I was privileged to coach his father at Churchill many years ago. Starting at third base, a junior, Andrew Garza. Starting catcher, a sophomore, Leighton Leone. Starting right fielder, all district, Zach Morrow. Designated hitter, a senior, all district as a designated hitter, Jack Thompson. This next young man was not able to be here tonight. He was a second baseman. He's a senior. He was an all-district second baseman, played in the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association All-Star game this past weekend, made All-State, and also made All-Tournament at the state tournament, Drew Brooks. Starting shortstop, a sophomore, Andres Sosa. Starting left fielder, a freshman, Cade Bormet. Freshman can do it. He was 4 for 4 in the game against Eagle Pass. Pretty good night's work. And the long ball hitter on the team, a senior pitcher, first baseman, all district, Ben Brookover. Young man that did the video work for Reagan all year, Adrian Rubio. Their student trainer, Bethany Bagley. The head trainer at Reagan High School, Katie Steinhoff. Assistant coach, Ryan Byer. Assistant coach, Reagan Mochagemba. Assistant coach, Rudy Salinas. And some 10 years ago, we hired a young man to come be the head coach at Reagan High School. I remember asking him, he was coming from El Campo, and I remember looking him in the eye and asking him if he thought he could handle the pressure of a 5A program and compete against some of the best teams in the state. And I'll never forget his answer. He's kind of square-jawed, which tells you something. And he looked me back in the eye and said, "Yes, sir." He's been there 10 years. They've been in the playoffs 10 times, won 6 district titles, 3 trips to the regional finals, and the state tournament this last year, the head coach, Chance Chapman. This is the Reagan Rattlers runner-up baseball team, 2014. Congratulations, guys.
You make this extremely Great job, everyone. Does anyone else like to say anything to our great baseball team? Yes, thank you very much. And to all the parents and families, I forgot to acknowledge them. I see some wave if you're a parent. Yeah. I just lost my agenda. Yeah. Okay, next item.
C, Electrical Systems Technology Program, Student and Business Partner Recognition.
Mrs. Hawkins?
Thank you, President Brezhnehan, board members, Dr. Gotardi. I would like to invite Justin Misseldine, our program coordinator for Career and Technology, to the podium to start this presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests. On behalf of Director Johnny Vahalik and the Career and Technical Education Department, I would like to introduce Mr. Steve Albert. Mr. Albert is the Director of the Electrical Systems Technology Program at MacArthur High School, and he is here this evening to acknowledge outstanding student achievement and recognize a few important industry partners without which our program could not be successful. So.
Thank you, Mr. Misseldine. Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests. My name is Steve Albert, Director of the Electrical Systems Technology Apprenticeship Program, and we thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. With me this evening is one of our fantastic instructors that we have, Mr. Ed Del Toro. And may I ask those, come on up. Gentlemen, Mr. Hill, Mr. Deshay, Paul, Matthew, Michael, please. First of all, I'd like to recognize and thank our principal, Peter Martinez, Associate Superintendent of Instruction and Technology Services, Ms. Janet Hawkins, Executive Director of Research and Technology, Michael Lara, and Director of Career and Technology, Johnny Vahalik. Without their support, we would not have the great program we have today. We're here tonight to request that the board recognize 2 of our students in the electrical program and 3 of our advisory committee members. Our 2 students are Mr. Paul Zeskin and Mr. Matthew Swain. And with them tonight are their parents. Back over here, raise your hand. Thank y'all for being here. Paul is a senior and has been in our program for 4 years. Paul has taken all AP courses all 4 years. He has a 4.0 grade point average and graduated this year summa cum laude. Paul has been employed part-time with Holt Caterpillar and plans on attending Blinn Junior College in College Station, majoring in chemical engineering this fall. At this year's Skills USA competition, Paul placed second in industrial motor control wiring and received a Best of Show ribbon for his, with his car wash simulator. Unbeknownst to Paul right now, he'll be a recipient of a $2,000 scholarship from Holt Caterpillar. Congratulations, Paul. The check's in the mail. Matthew is a junior and has been in the program for 3 years. Matthew is a recent graduate of the 15-week-long Builders Exchange of Texas PACE program, and he plans on attending college after graduation and studying electrical engineering. In 2012-2013 at the Skills USA state competition, Matthew placed 3rd in the Skills residential wiring competition. That was last year. This year, he not only placed 1st in the Skills residential wiring competition, but also received the Best of Show award for his residential wiring project. Next week, Matthew and Mr. Del Toro will be traveling to Kansas City, where Matthew will be competing against the nation's best in the Skills USA national competition. We wish him good luck. Our 3 advisory members are Mr. Billy Hill, owner of Hill Electric Contractors, Mr. Michael Eddings, Southern Regional Service Manager for Holt Caterpillar, and with him this evening is Mr. Mitch Lemaster, Director of Training at the Holt Cat ProTech Training School. Mr. Scott Deshay, Mr. Deshay is the purchasing agent and estimator for Southwest Electrical Contractors, and with him is Mr. Vernon Long, their operations manager. Mr. Hill and Mr. Deshay have both been loyal supporters and valuable advisors of the electrical program for over 15 years. In 2001, they, along with some others, were instrumental in getting the electrical program approved and as an official Department of Labor apprenticeship program, one of only 2 secondary school apprenticeship programs in the state. These individuals keep us informed on current industry needs, contribute monetarily, but most of all, they hire students both part-time and full-time outside of school. Mr. Eddings has been on the advisory committee for 2 years and was instrumental in bringing Holt Cat in as a program supporter. Holt Cat's involvement has given our students yet another professional occupation tied to the electrical industry that they can pursue. To date, Holt Cat has contributed over $8,000 in grant monies and is going to contribute another $4,000 next year. I would like to thank you for your time and for recognizing these fine students and advisory members. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Ms. Bresnahan. Yeah.
Great job.
You know what, Steve? You know what, he didn't take any credit for it, but you know what, Steve runs a tremendous program. I didn't get to go to the banquet this year. I'm so sorry I missed it because it's always so great, but what you do is a true gem in this district. So thank you.
Oh, I know, it's always so good.
And parents, thank you all for coming. And I hope you're very proud of your students.
We are.
Yes, they did.
It's wonderful. And we're glad that he does, because I could not do any of that. Next, Mrs. Huey, next item.
D, other.
And we have no other?
No scouts.
Okay. There's nothing there, so next item, please.
7, matters from executive session. A, personnel including but not limited to administrative appointments pursuant to Government Code, Section 551.074. 1, possible action regarding routine personnel, including but not limited to administrative appointments.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we
hire
approve
of new personnel is presented in closed session.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Thank you, Mrs. Grona. There can be no discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Next item, Mrs.
2, possible action regarding proposed recommendation for termination of Chapter 21 continuing contract employee.
And we have no action. Next item.
3, principal of Stubing Ranch Elementary.
Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the principal of Stubing Ranch as presented in executive session.
Thank you, Mrs. Huey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next item.
4, principal of Bradley Middle School.
Do I have a motion?
Move
I
to-
approve the principal of Bradley Middle School as presented in closed session.
Can I second? I'd love to second that motion. No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you very much. Dr. Gotardi, do you have any introductions for us?
We sure do. Thank you,
Great.
Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor this evening to recognize and to introduce to you the new principal of Stubing Ranch Elementary School, Mr. Mario Guillen. Mario?
Stay there. Don't go anywhere.
Mario joined the Northeast family in 2010 as assistant principal at Larkspur Elementary School. Mr. Guillen received his bachelor's business administration degree in accounting from Our Lady of the Lake University in 2003. Additionally, he earned his Master of Education degree in school administration from Trinity University in 2010. Mr. Guillen has a total of 7 years in education. Congratulations, Mario.
Mr. Guillen, you can stay where you were. Stay put. Thank you.
We also have a new principal of Bradley Middle School, Mr. Todd Bloomer. Todd joined the Northeast family in 2000 as a history teacher and coach at Eisenhower Middle School. Prior to his appointment to this very position, he was assistant principal of Churchill High School. Mr. Bloomer received his Bachelor of Science and Education degree in Social Studies from Edinburgh University of Pennsylvania in 1996. Additionally, he earned his Master of Education degree in Teaching with Principal Certification from Schreiner University in 2007. Mr. Bloomer has a total of 17 years in education. Congratulations, Todd. We also have with us this evening our Director for School Improvement, Mr. Freeman Cohn.
Dr. Cohn, don't stay put.
We all know him by Hensley, so I'll say Hensley Cohn joined the Northeast family in 2008 as assistant principal at Johnson High School. He received his Bachelor of Science degree in microbiology from Southwest Texas State University in 1989. Additionally, he earned his Master of Education degree in Educational Administration in 1999 and received his doctorate in School Improvement in 2012, both from Texas State University. Dr. Cohn has a total of 17 years in education. Congratulations, Hensley. And that concludes our introductions. Thank you very much.
And I'd like to say to the three of you, on behalf of this board, we take your jobs very seriously, and we know the impact that you have on our students. We've got parents that they have kids in the schools. It means everything to us. The school district is very important to us, and I hope it is to you as well. And we applaud you for what you have done and what you will continue to do. And I want you to know that sometimes I feel envious because the position that all of you are in, primarily the two principals, you have such an opportunity to make an impact and to continue the legacy with our students. And we as families depend on both of you. And for Mr. Bloomer, who's my dear friend, and has been my friend he taught my son, I forget, in the 2000s? And I want everyone to know, because sometimes we get accused of not being innovative. This gentleman started something called History Olympics at Eisenhower Middle School. And as a mother of a student that did not like to read, did not like history, that was one of the few things that got him to go to school. I can still remember taking him to the orthodontist, and he said, I got to get back because we've got History Olympics. And he also really brought forward parent involvement. I remember we bought boom boxes. I mean, I'm really aging myself, but I just want you to know that your legacy has been going on for quite some time, and we as a board, I mean, we revere what you do, and all the best, and I can't wait to see what your students do for all of us. Thank you. To you. Oh, Mrs. Grona would like to make a comment
And
as well.
Twitter at Tejeda. Remember my shirt you made me wear?
Anybody else like to make a comment? We're happy to hear. Thanks again. Next item, Mrs. Huey.
B, possible action on the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072.
And we have no action. Next item.
C, possible action regarding consultation with board's attorney pursuant to Government Code Section 551.071. One, possible and pending litigation.
Thank you, Mrs. Huey, and we have no action. Next item.
8, presentations. A, administrative training program interns for 2014-2015.
Dr. Newman.
President Bresnahan, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests, I would like to invite Mr. Joe Reasons, our Executive Director for School Administration, to make these introductions.
Thank you, Dr. Newman. Last month, Mr. Boyd, one of our other executive directors for school administration, presented to you the list of candidates for the 2014-2015 administrative training program. Since that time, 4 additional names have been added. 2 of those were named assistant principals at mid-year, and they will be completing the second half of the program that they began last year. And 2 new assistant principals were recently named, and they will be completing the entire program. Mrs. Jensen is here with me this evening, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce this group of 15 outstanding educators to you. I would like them to come forward as their names are called. Ms. Sharon Bennett, reading and SSI reading teacher, 6th grade, Kruger Middle School. Jacob Palazzo, ESL teacher, 4th grade, Walsham Elementary. Marlo Dillahunty, assistant principal, Ridgeview Elementary. Danny Ditto, special education teacher, Churchill High School. Alejandro Escamilla, assistant principal, Tejeda Middle School. Daniel Gonzalez, Spanish 2 teacher, Johnson High School. Brad Hinsey, geometry teacher, Johnson High School. Jennifer Johnson, career and tech teacher, grades 9 through 12 at Reagan High School. Diana Leal, teacher of 4th grade, Walsham Elementary. Sergio Martinez, assistant principal, Nimitz Middle School. Gennaro Mendoza, math instructional coach at Ridgeview Elementary. Martha Reyes, assistant principal, Tex Hill Middle School. Sabina Varney, German teacher, grades 9 through 12, MacArthur High School. Rosemary Villanueva Delaney, ESL and reading teacher at Roosevelt High School. Carrie Winter, teacher, 3rd grade, Hidden Forest Elementary. These are our administrative interns for the coming year. There will be other individuals joining them as new assistant principals are selected, but we are looking forward to another excellent year for an administrative training program. Thank you very much.
Mr. Reasons, thank you for that, and we wish all of you the best, and we're so glad you're part of our school district. On behalf of the board, we're thrilled for you. Yeah, have fun.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. Oh, it sounds like They're taking a deep breath.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Reasons. Next item, Mrs. Huey.
B, data magnet at Ed White Middle School.
Mrs. Hawkins.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, Dr. Gotardi, staff, and guests. Tonight, Dr. Gotardi requested a presentation relaying the plan to expand the data program to Ed White Middle School, which in effect creates a new magnet program. At this time, I would like to introduce Michael Laura, the Executive Director of Research and Information Technologies, to begin the presentation, and he will be accompanied by other presenters.
Good evening. Before we begin, we'd like to make sure that we give credit where credit's due. There's a lot of folks that were involved in this process. They all contributed both large and small pieces to this plan. The following presentation combines the capacity of two distinct programs, the Data Magnet Program and Ed White Middle School. As part of the presentation, we have two guests with us today. We have William Clawton, the Director of Data Magnet Program at Roosevelt High School, and Phil Carney, the Principal at Ed White Middle School, to present the next section. But before we do that, oh, it looks like somebody changed. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. In this presentation this evening, we will discuss many items. The general framework for the magnet program, the labor statistics and demand for such a program. We'll provide a general overview of the current data program in Ed White Middle School. We will define the characteristics of a successful magnet program in the Northeast Independent School District. We'll explain why we're selecting Ed White Middle School for this magnet expansion. We will lay out the timeline for the program implementation. We will describe the magnet program design. We will identify the challenges to our plan and how we plan to overcome those challenges. And then there will be a time to address any questions at the end. A magnet program is essentially a school within a school concept, which allows students to attend a comprehensive campus while focusing on certain content areas of study with a small cohort of students. The data program at Ed White Middle School will focus on the areas of computer science, coding, programming, and informational technology. The program will enable middle school students to earn high school credit that can then be applied to one or more endorsements, and it will align with the Design and Technology Academy, or DATA, at Theodore Roosevelt High School. The program would be an extension of DATA that would create a 6 through 12 grade magnet program.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics projects that computer occupations will grow 22.1% from 2010 to 2020 and shows that software developers were one of the fastest growing jobs in this occupational group. It is predicted that there will nearly be 140,000 brand new positions created before 2022. A bachelor degree is often a requirement for software developer positions, although practical experience may be enough to snag an entry-level job. In addition, Texas is considered a major technology hub in our nation. As a result, this magnet program will provide students the chance to advance their abilities in coding and programming in the most current computer languages used in industry and give students a head start in the career area. DATA stands for the Design and Technology Academy and is currently located at Roosevelt High School and serves over 370 students from 9th to 12th grade. Students from NEISD as well as students from outside the district may apply for admission and are accepted based on a lottery system. Students have to meet academic and behavior standards to be in the program and to be included in the lottery. DATA is a college preparatory program with a career focus. Students are encouraged to take rigorous courses in academic disciplines in addition to courses focused on technical and career areas. DATA's mission is to provide opportunities that foster each individual's intellectual and creative development, love of learning, and strength of character through a community that encourages respect, support, and challenge. DATA students also focus on 4 core values related to character development, which are perseverance, integrity, commitment, and kindness. DATA students are also required to perform community service as part of the program. Magnet programs have been successful and effective at Northeast ISD. There are many reasons why they are successful. What they have in common is they attract students with a like interest from across the district and around the city. There is high student and parent interest in the field and the curriculum. Local industry and workforce are integral parts of the program. They are usually academic, fine arts, or career-based in nature. There are strong partnerships formed between the program and local colleges to benefit students. Parents are organized and engaged with a common interest and provide an additional level of support for the program through the PTA or booster clubs. An effective magnet program supports student achievement related to campus accountability and individual student success, and students' exposure to career and college opportunities are enhanced. These are all common themes of an effective magnet program in our district.
Ed White Middle School was opened in 1970 and serves currently over 980 students. At its height, it served over 1,600 students in 1975. Once students complete middle school, they attend Roosevelt High School. And as you can see from the stats on the screen, Ed White Middle School serves a very diverse population of students. So you may ask, why a magnet program at Ed White Middle School? Well, first, the characteristics of an effective magnet program that Mr. Clawton mentioned earlier in the presentation would be of great benefit to the current students of Ed White Middle School. Community and industry partners in the Northeast attendance area, like Rackspace, are already contributing to our campus and community. This program provides a successful program of study that is in demand by local industry. The program provides a new opportunity for the students of our community to be successful at a much earlier age. Space is available at the campus that will allow for an additional magnet program to be added. The program would provide an additional level of support by integrating reading, math, and technology and linking learning to real-world careers through project-based learning strategies. Students would be a part of a program that would stretch from 6th grade through 12th grade through one program, which would be data. Overall, it brings students together that have the same passion, interest, and allows equal access to a worthwhile program of study. And lastly, we're providing technology skills to students that will be beneficial to any industry that they go into the future. A focused but a flexible curriculum. Now, once the program is fully implemented, the goal of the program is to enroll around 140 students in each grade level. Enrollment goals would be to serve approximately 50% of the Ed White Middle School students and 50% of transfer students from either in-district or outside of the district. If seats are available after all district students are served, the district may accept up to 25% of the students from outside the district. The program would not accept more than 25% out of the district, and this group of students would need to meet high academic standards in order to be accepted. If the demand for the program exceeds the number of seats available, then the district would use a lottery system to select students. As a part of a small learning community, these students would take the same core courses as well as most electives together. Once the students complete the program at the middle school level, they would then have automatic acceptance into the data program at Roosevelt. Transportation would be provided from the other 13 home middle schools to and from the program for in-district students. Out-of-district students must provide their own transportation in order to participate. As we mentioned before, the curriculum would focus primarily on coding, computer programming, and informational technology. The director in the district would work on creating partnerships with industry in order to provide additional support for the program, which may include additional funding and mentorship opportunities. For the 2014-15 school year, the district would seek a director that would spend the first semester recruiting students for the program for all 3 grade levels. In addition, technology and computer labs would be installed to serve the program. If all goals for program enrollment are met, students would be accepted for the 2015 through 2016 school year. Additional faculty would be hired to serve these students. Our current enrollment goals would be to enroll 100 students during the 6th grade year. 7th and 8th would be 50 students at each grade level. This would just get the program up and running for the first year. The final goal would to have the program fully developed and meeting full enrollment levels of approximately 140 students by the 2016-2017 school year.
In starting any new program, there are challenges that the district has to take into account. Recruitment and funding are two of those challenges. Recruitment for students for a new program will bring some challenges to the director of this position. The role of the director the first year will be meeting with students and parents and encouraging students from other schools to participate in this new program. The program will also be competing with KSAT and STEM middle school program. The final challenges include asking students to give up their home campus. Funding for the implementation of this program is the second challenge for the district. This will require adding staff and technology to the campus over the next 3 years, and then maintaining an annual operating budget that will be available to support the program in the future. So how are we going to meet these challenges? The key to the program the first year of recruitment is the director. The director will need to coordinate with campus administration at the elementary and middle school levels to promote clubs and organizations that will encourage student interest in the program and help identify students that could benefit from such a program. The director will have to also find a way to connect with parents across the district about the program. This will require a communication plan that will be attractive to the parents. This can occur through many venues, including open house, cluster parent nights, and other STEM-related events. This is another avenue that business and industry could be great partners to help communicate the benefits this program provides for students. Funding requires the district to constantly set goals, monitor the program to meet these goals, and adapt to the level of enrollment for the program. The district will not move forward with additional funding unless enrollment goals are met. The district is also seeking grant opportunities to help implement the program. This also includes requesting industry support and funding to help enhance the program's success. As a recap, by expanding the data program in the middle school level, we would introduce coding, programming, and information technology to a younger group of students. Recruitment for the program would encourage and introduce introduction of simple concepts to students at the elementary level through student clubs and organizations, and identify students' interest in such a magnet program. The data program at Ed White Middle School will bring together a cohort of students to explore technology concepts and prepare students to enter high school. The data program at Roosevelt would focus on preparing students to enter college with a career focus through opportunities for internships, industry certifications, AP, and dual credit courses. The final product would be a cohort of students that are college and career ready. This final program of study would be enhanced with support from business and industry. At this time, we welcome any questions from the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Do board members have questions? Anyone?
Yes. I was just wondering, have y'all, this sounds so great, but did y'all have, like contact from the community saying we wish you would do this to the, for middle school, or was it just something that y'all realized there was a big need for, or that it would be so beneficial for those kids to start earlier to move on to the high school program?
I got it. Well, first of all, our local community partner right next door to us, Rackspace, is always pushing for students to engage in coding experiences. We participated, actually a lot of schools across the district did the coding for a week, and which was code.org, and Rackspace mentors came over even to the high school and worked with us. Also, I can tell you from the experience that I had working at the KSAT IMAC program that there is a large interest by the students across our district to want to come in and get involved in computer programming, video game design, mobile application development. Those are very interesting topics to our students. It has a great career, it leads to a great career, and there's plenty of opportunities in that area.
That is so cool. I just love this. That is so cool.
Any questions? Anybody else? Mr. Weed?
Yeah, just real briefly. Is there a time when a magnet choice is simply too young, when we're asking kids to choose coming out of 5th grade and they want to go to a magnet school?
Actually, I think I know what you're talking about. What will happen is that the director and the staff, like will go down to the elementary level and they'll engage with the students. They'll get them all excited and get them all pumped up, and students will be really, hey, this is something I want to do, and then they'll come in, they'll enter the 6th grade program, and they'll get involved. But what happens is students do change their mind. And so what we call normal attrition will occur between 6th to 8th grade. We start losing a percentage of our students. What the program will have to develop is a way to attract 7th and 8th grade students later on. So we start with 140 students in our 6th grade cohort. Our first time, you may lose a few by the time they're 7th or 8th grade because they find that liberal arts or the fine arts is more attracted to them. And also, when they finish the middle school program, the other high school magnet programs are going to be recruiting those students, just like I'll be trying to maintain those students. They'll be recruiting them as well. And by that point, they may make a change. They may want to decide to try out for NISA or to apply to the agribusiness. I know KSAT students, we had a lot of students go over to the Madison agribusiness program over there, and that's fine. So what we have to do is always be make plans and develop ways to recruit students for different grade levels as we go.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Mr. White? Anyone? I just have one quick question, and it's regarding recruitment. You mentioned that students that would be eligible for this program have to meet high, rigorous academic standards. Did I understand that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, I'm glad you paused, because what I'm thinking is when I see something like this, and I agree with Mrs. Perkins, it's a great program. I think sometimes this would appeal to some of the students that are lower performing but have the propensity to really do well. So is there a way to capture that student so that that student, I mean, this is a real specific niche, and I
think there is. I think what we have to keep in mind is the schedule. Students, depending on how they're doing academically, that's going to kind of define what they can and can't do. If they're having to take some other courses which are helping them to develop their math and reading skills,
Sure.
that may not allow them to be able to take the magnet school courses or the electives, that could be something that would be a little restraining. The program's open to everybody, and we
Yes.
look at the success of the student depending on their plan, on
Right.
their academic plan. And again, it's all about availability and their course schedule.
I think one of the things that I really like about the design of this is that it gives students an opportunity, whereas if they're struggling, let's say in 6th grade, and let's say they have to take an additional reading or math course because they're struggling behind, it gives them hope because they can also get in the 7th grade or in the 8th grade. So it gives them an on-ramp.
Sure.
If they are in a place where they're academically struggling, and it gives them something to aspire to be a part of. So it's not like they're either in at 6th grade or they can't get in.
Right.
So that would maybe fill some of that attrition of students that might change their mind, which would be students being added in as they aspire and continue to improve.
Do you at some point plan to track these kids to see if they continue on into the labor force in this industry?
Yes, that's actually a good indicator.
Yeah.
There's a gap when you're a middle school program and the students go out to the different high schools, and that's 4 years, and that's great. You know where they are, you know what they're doing, but when they leave the high school, then you don't know.
Right.
And even at the data program now, we're talking about ways that we need to enhance our website to allow students to report back where they're doing and how they're doing. We've even talked about maybe doing like a 5-year reunion for data students, so we invite them to come back for an event and share out not only with our current students, but just to let us know how they're doing and if they're doing what we hope they would do.
Right. Any other questions? I think it looks great, and I think that it's very pragmatic as well in that we utilize our facilities appropriately and we maximize the space and the expense, and so we applaud you for what you're doing. Thank you very much.
I have one more question. Sure. Have we filled all the spots at Roosevelt with students from outside the district?
No.
No?
No. We're not even near the 25% cutoff. I have the numbers right here. This year, when we finished this year, we had 370 students. Of those students, only 30 came from outside the district.
So how would you recruit students from outside the district for middle school?
It's a good question. How do we get the word out? Yes. You know, what actually happens is a lot of our local community partners with their children, they go home, their parents go home, and that word of mouth right there. I know that KSAT and IMAC, we used to always get phone calls every year, Alamo Heights even. We'd have parents trying to call. One of my freshmen now at Data, their parents reminded me, remember Mr. Clark when we called you when he was going into 6th grade? And I said, I remember one of several phone calls that we had. So we'd have to come up with a communication plan to get out across the city that we are accepting students in that middle school program. But we need to be careful. We want to make sure that the doors are open for our own NEISD students first, and that we fill those seats when needed. And so we have set up different standards for the different groups of students that we're going to be attracting.
Mrs. Perkins, if I may, William, Philip, I think William did a great job right at the end telling you our number one priority is our kids.
Of course.
Our middle school kids. Well, the reason why we put that limit on it is that we do have magnet programs in the school district that have been in place for a long time, where the word of mouth has gotten out through all of Bexar County, in fact, into Comal, Kendall. So we have to put a cap on how many outside the district we're going to accept. So I don't think this first year, or maybe even the second year, well, he just described a little while ago that at Data, we're not even close to the 25% figure. So I don't think that's going to be a real issue for middle school, but we just have to make sure we have that ceiling on the program.
Right.
We've done that. We do that district-wide at all magnet programs. We're not going to take any more than 25% outside the school district.
Well, but so if you don't have the 25%, and that would, do you actually just leave that open, or then would you take more students from inside the district?
We will
to
fill
fill
as
up
many
your numbers?
students as we can with Northeast students, but if there's more people who apply than spots, the most we're going to accept from outside is 25%.
Okay.
If there's more, if there's more students than spots, you guys correct me
Yes,
if I'm
sir.
wrong,
You're correct.
then there'll be a lottery system.
Yes, sir.
I think my question was, if you did not fill your 25% of outside, would you then open more slots for students inside?
Yeah.
I think to answer your question, I think that it's not that we have to have 25% from
Okay.
outside of the district.
No.
What it is just we would take of all the students within the district first, and then we would supplement that with students out of district, and just not to exceed 25%. So
Okay.
it's not like there's empty slots.
But you only
if we
have
don't
so
get
many
more.
seats, I assume.
Yes, that
Yes.
is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
You know, Mrs. Bresnahan, if I may, just
Sure.
a few days ago, Mrs. Hawkins and I had a demonstration by some people from the Geekdom, but they brought the Geek Bus over here. And we have students as well as I'm sure there are other students from other districts, but we were told that we have students that just graduated from our high schools that are first year and second year college students, one of which is at A&M right now, making $65,000 through Rackspace and going to college at the same time. So this track of 6th grade kids all the way to 12th grade, if they really thrive, and we think they will, and we know that the Data kids do, there's awful good chances that positions are open to Rackspace. They're looking for kids to come to work for them, and we want to build that pipeline. We do.
Awesome, thank you.
And I love the alignment with the labor market. I think it's super important, and people talk about that all the time, and that's what we're doing.
It's right on target with House Bill 5
Yes.
and one of
Yes,
the
it is.
endorsements. So
Good.
we're excited about it. It's going to be a 2 or 3 year phase in, but we feel very good about it at this point.
Well, and we look forward to updates.
Thank you very much.
Next item, Mrs. Huey.
C, update on transforming the future.
This is Dr. Gotardi.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we've been in the transformational process, strategic design process for over a year now. A lot of exciting energetic work has gone into our strategic plan. For the people in the audience that are not as familiar with the transformational process, I want to start off by saying thank you to a couple of our board members, Sandy Huey and Bridget Perkins, along with a former board member, Mrs. Glendo, for serving on our strategic design team. What we're here tonight to talk to you about is that after a year-long process, we have 8 major goals and 36 specific results that we're going to roll out in the next 4 years. But 9 of those specific results we are going to roll out this August. And that's what we're here to talk to you about this evening. Highlight the 8 goals as well as the specific results that the strategic design and the focus groups isolated in on. And we're here tonight to tell you how we're going to implement those strategic specific results. So at this point, we've got like 9 people that are going to come to the microphone. I'm going to start out by turning over the microphone to Terry Chidgey, our Executive Director of School Improvement. Terry?
Thank you, Dr. Gotardi. The first goal that we're going to be addressing is really all about appropriate learning environment. Under that goal, we're going to look at the C part of it, and for the 14-15 school year, we are going to accomplish that specific result. It reads, provide flexibility for campus-based decisions dependent upon students' needs while maintaining curriculum consistency. That will be accomplished throughout this upcoming year. The interesting piece about that is we are already doing that. We just feel like we perhaps have not communicated that as well as we should. The key words in that specific result are flexibility and curriculum consistency. What we feel like we need to do a better job of communicating is that flexibility piece. Our scope and sequence is filled with many choices of resources, activities, and lessons, and we heard loud and clear from our teachers and educators that they want the flexibility to choose. So while they already have that, we are going to begin to communicate the fact that they have that flexibility. We are going to write it purposefully into our scope and sequence and provide some more words that allow for the flexibility. While we want them to have the flexibility, we also want the curriculum consistency. We must teach the state TEKS. They do not have the flexibility in not teaching those. They must teach the state TEKS that are required by that grade level and to the rigor that will prepare them to be successful on our state mandated tests and for college and career readiness. So we want to give them flexibility. We want to give them many choices as to how to do that best fits the needs of their teaching style and their learners, but at the same time, we want to ensure that our students get what they need. So under that, we developed 3 action steps to help us successfully accomplish our specific result. The first one is to revise the scope and sequence documents to communicate flexibility within the curriculum framework. So we are going to put things like, when we have right now a bulleted list of activities or resources or lessons, we are going to put choose from one of the following. Right now our teachers feel like they must do all of those activities and in the order of those. They are the best judge of their students' ability and their students' needs. So we are going to add words that say, choose from the following menu of activities or select from the below lessons to achieve the goal of the TEKS that you are teaching. So those words are not there at this time. And so there has been some miscommunication about the fact that they do have that flexibility. We have already started working on that. We've already begun communicating that, and we've already begun to put it into our scope and sequence. I do need to say that the people that will be implementing this will be our school improvement assistant directors and all of the specialists that work with them, also Patty Castellano and myself. The second action step is to communicate the flexibility with scope and sequence by providing clarification in the EBD. We have a monthly communication with our educators, and so we want to do that. We have not done that yet. We're going to do that in August, and we're going to continue it, posting it in August through all of August and then September to make sure that they're aware. And then last but not least, we're going to communicate our flexibility with scope and sequence through all our professional development. We've already started that. We had a lot of professional development going on since school has let out. And then we have, of course, our curriculum day in August. We are going to really drive it home that they very much have the flexibility to choose, but they must maintain the required TEKS and the rigor to which the TEKS were intended to be taught. At this time, I'm going to turn the podium over to Tom Johnson to talk about the next goal.
Good evening, everyone. I've got to tell you, I'm very excited to address you on the evening of the U.S.'s victory over Ghana 2-1 this evening. I'm very stoked about that win. And I'm equally as stoked with goal number 2 in the Transform the Future process here. Goal number 2 says that we will dedicate adequate time, resources, and support staff in order to integrate up-to-date technology equitably. And really, when you peel the layers back on this statement, what we heard loud and clear from all the participants was that we are really a blessed district because we have such a wealth of technology available to our students and our staff. And what we heard from the participants is we want to have meaningful training. Don't just teach us how to use a device, show us how to integrate it into the core curriculum. So that's exactly what we're going to focus on, and we'll do that by the process known as Standard 5. This is not a new process to the district. In fact, Standard 5, we are in the 3rd year of a 3-year plan. If you're not familiar with Standard 5, it's really an evaluation method that campus administrators use to evaluate how their teachers plan and integrate the use of technology into their instructional process. And what's nice is even teachers can evaluate their own Standard 5 levels of implementation. So in order to focus on Standard 5, we're going to start off with action step number 1. And this is when we're going to provide teachers at every campus support staff that consists of both instructional technology specialists as well as content specialists, the 1-2 punch of the knowledge of curriculum and the knowledge of technology. We're going to integrate those efforts together so that whenever training is conducted, it's not just a lesson over a particular mathematics strategy per se, or maybe a technology device. It's going to be integrated. This is how you can use this particular device to help enrich, this particular mathematics lesson, something to that degree. The second action step, we're going to focus on campus administrators. As I told you, we're in the 3rd year of a 3-year plan, so Standard 5 is not an unfamiliar concept to our existing campus administrators, but we want to take time during the monthly principals meeting to give them refreshers, because ultimately they will use Standard 5 as part of the end-of-year summative evaluation of their teachers. So we want to take some time each month at a principals meeting and to give them refreshers on what does proper Standard 5 integration look like. We want to keep it fresh in their mind. And then finally, for the folks that are going to do the lion's share of this work, I'm talking about the instructional technology specialist and the curriculum specialist. We want to make sure that their professional development mirrors what will eventually be provided to the campuses. In other words, once again, it's going to be infusion of both curriculum and technology. So we're going to bring our technology folks in, and they're going to get lessons on the latest curriculum strategies, and vice versa. We'll bring the curriculum folks in and show them the latest in the use of technology. So at this point, I would like to introduce Mr. Eric Wicker, who's the Director of Curriculum Compliance.
Thank you. Our next specific result was to set expectations that all teachers and administrators are knowledgeable of and will effectively apply the purpose and intent of the Northeast Grade and Reporting Regulations into their assessment practices. At this time, Gary Hardcastle, the Senior Director of Curriculum Compliance, and myself are working to create a number of short breeze presentations to ensure a clear understanding of the NEISD elementary and secondary grading and reporting guidelines. These presentations will be part of a video series that is required of all staff members at the beginning of the 2014-15 school year to view, and the administrators document the viewing of it. It will also allow for the flexibility of campus teachers and campus administration to go back and review a presentation if there's a question regarding any of the sections within the grading and reporting guidelines. At this time, I would like to introduce Joe Reasons to outline the next specific result.
Thank you, Mr. Wicker. Goal 5 is all about empowering teachers. And those of us who served as principals and many who serve now as principals have always felt like our number one purpose was to make it possible for teachers to work their magic. And that was our sole reason for existing. I was selected to serve as the implementation manager for Goal 5, Specific Result A, and I'm going to talk about Specific Result A just sort of interwoven in my talk to you this evening. Early in April, a very diverse committee of highly respected teachers and administrators representing all educational levels from across our district met to begin work on Specific Result A. It was very clear from the beginning that there was a wide range of interpretations of an uninterrupted block of time, a variety of definitions and beliefs concerning authentic learning experiences, and an equally wide range of beliefs concerning how, when, and what professional development should be offered. The committee then was charged with going back to their campuses to gather answers to these questions that we all felt were needed from their peers. They did exactly that. A blog was created by Mr. Bloomer, who you met earlier this evening, our technology guru, and each committee member reported his or her findings on that blog. After getting together again a few weeks later, it was also very clear to our committee that the wording of Goal 5, empowering teachers, was a critical element about which we must gather even more input from teachers. A very simple but a very specific survey was developed and sent to teachers. The response from them showed that they are eager to be heard. Over 1,800 surveys were returned and more are coming in, which was much greater than anticipated. And in addition to the survey responses, 56 pages of ideas about authentic assessment and 12 pages of observations concerning an uninterrupted block of time were received. The data have shown that Goal 5 is extremely important to teachers. It became very obvious early in the committee's work that there could be no cookie-cutter approach to achieve Goal 5, Specific Result A. Our plan for the present is to present our findings to principals at all levels. It will be the task of our campus principals, under our oversight, to make opportunities for teachers to enjoy truly uninterrupted blocks of time to effectively discuss and design authentic learning experiences, and to plan quality professional development to support the work of their teachers. Looking ahead, our goal is to work closely with the instructional division to find additional ways to accomplish Goal 5 through creative utilization of the calendar in school year 2015-2016. And at this time, to continue with Goal 5, it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Pat Sanford.
Good evening. So to continue with Specific Result C, what we want to do is create a learning environment that engages all students as learning leaders who make real-world connections. And what we want to do is provide pathways, opportunities for all principals, all schools to be looking at programs that do create this engaging leadership real-world connection piece. We already have wonderful programs such as the Leader in Me, AVID, Student Council, PALS, Unity Club, Athletics, Fine Arts, JROTC, lots of our extracurricular activities and after-school clubs. But we want to go a step further and make this very intentional. We want everyone to be examining, okay, what is in place? What could be in place? What would we like our culture and learning climate to be? And so the first step is principals meetings throughout the year. Our principals love when they are given time to talk and share. So we're devising a process that will take place at the first principals meeting and as needed throughout the year so that they can be looking at what this would actually look like on their campus to involve all students as leaders, self-responsible individuals who are engaged and making those real-world connections. Again, I want to reiterate, they learn so much from the time at principals meetings when they can talk and share ideas with them, with each other. And then we really want to hone in on the goal-setting process. The Leader in Me has a phenomenal goal-setting process, much like what all of our divisions used when we were establishing WIGs, our wildly important goals, several years ago. So we are going, the first step is we had at the June advance in curriculum, we started this process and we shared that overview, that focus piece of setting goals and how that would look. And we left with the challenge of what do you need from us? What can you bring to the table so that we can establish this goal setting process? Again, the idea here is individual responsibility. When you connect to your mission, then you have your vision and values, which gives you the direction for your long-term and short-term goals. And so that's what we're after. And we started that, as I say, with our curriculum folks. And in August leadership, we're having 2 principals who will take our administrators through this same process. And the idea is that the curriculum folks, the principals will meet throughout the year so that what is learned with one group will be the same as the other. And then they will take this back to their campus. Same with what's learned at the principals meetings about those programs. The principals will then take this back and continue the process to create that buy-in so that everyone has this engagement piece. And now Amy Lane is going to talk to us about Goal 6.
Good evening. Goal 7 is all about partnerships, and my very first specific result is concerning the Northeast Educational Foundation. So I have to say right off the bat that this is all done hand in hand with their help, and it's a true partnership. The first specific result is to increase awareness and support of the Northeast Educational Foundation. As soon as you guys approved the transformational process, we had our biggest event right around the corner. So we began with the gala, fast and furious right off the bat. And the first action step was to increase the attendance and the giving at the gala, which we did increase the attendance this year. We were filled to capacity. We also increased the giving by 47%, so we felt good about that first action step. The second action step is to increase publicity. We really want to work on our promotional materials, banners, brochures, and materials, so that's an ongoing process that we're just beginning, really. Next, I really wanted to host an inaugural thank you event. It's something that we haven't done in the past, and not just for the supporters of the foundation, but for our district supporters, district-wide, people who have not had any involvement with the foundation in the past. So a friend raiser, if you will. And we did our first one on May 1st. We plan on making that an annual event, and I think we'll see a lot of growth from that. Next, we really want to showcase our prize patrol. That's in May when we give away the big checks to all of the teachers. And we want to make a bigger deal out of that after all of the hard work that the foundation has put in throughout the year. So this year we gave away huge checks. We also invited our donors to attend, which I think brought the whole process full circle for them. And the last two items are things that we really haven't begun yet, but I am establishing a district-wide donor database. This is just so that we can have records. 20 years out, we'll know who gave in 2014. And so it's a big project, but we're just beginning it. And lastly, I would like to increase publicity of the foundation through a district newsletter that goes to all of our staff and also to our supporters. Next, Justin Misseldine is reporting for Johnny Bahalik.
Welcome again. It's a privilege to be able to be here speaking this evening because I actually got to serve on the strategic design team that kind of helped with the implementation of these goals, and now to kind of see the full circle process that has taken place. So I will be reporting on Goal 8. And Goal 8 kind of dealt with creating of some kind of standards to address any inequalities in resources district-wide. Specific results B and D. Specific result B states that the district will create various opportunities for students to access House Bill 5, 83rd Texas Legislature endorsement course offerings inside and outside of the regular school day. The action items developed by the design team being taken to reach this specific result include the following. One was to offer high school endorsement and foundation courses at the middle school level, which is currently in implementation. Continuing other avenues to remediate students, such as course/credit protection, course or credit recovery, summer EOC prep, and credit recovery of EOC courses. The third action item was to provide innovative opportunities to take courses, such as online courses or courses offered outside of the regular school day, which may include evening high school. We also looked to expand the summer school offerings and advertising and expanding the evening high school program. All of these were developed in May and are, again, currently in the implementation process. Specific result D states that the district will create an awareness program to educate students and parents on magnet and vocational programs, as well as college entrance requirements, including advanced placement, pre-AP, SAT, PSAT, and ACT at both the elementary and secondary level. I will address the career and tech and vocational portion, and these action steps included redesigning the magnet program recruiting process, redesigning magnet brochures, publications, and videos, creating a Northeast endorsement and program of study guide, creating a web page to highlight all the programs available to Northeast students, including magnets, AP, CTE, and dual credit. The theme for this website was proposed to be Go Northeast. We have a program for every student. And finally, to develop and offer clear career exploration summer camps to give students another opportunity to learn about those vocational programs. Again, all of these action steps were developed in the month of May and are currently in the implementation process. To finish the action steps for specific result D, I'd like to introduce Ms. Joy Culpepper, Director of Guidance Services.
Thank you. Continuing, I'll be focusing mainly on the college portion of the College and Career Awareness. Our committee decided to create a new link that'll be posted on the guidance internet, accessible by students and parents, and we're going to call it the College and Career Awareness and Preparedness link. And this will be placed prominently. It'll be found on the guidance site as well as the College and Career Readiness site, and it will connect students and parents to important information related to college admission and career selection. This same link will be placed on the campus websites of every campus in Northeast, including elementary, middle, and high, by our district webmaster. We hope to have that accomplished by September 30th, 2014. Campuses will also continue all activities that we've performed in the past related to college and career awareness and preparedness. And just to give you a few examples, We administer the PSAT currently to all 10th and 11th graders, and we provide links for preparation through College Board and Khan Academy. We are not only continuing our AVID program, but we are increasing it. We're adding elementary level to it in the coming school year. We provide a transition booklet to all the 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th graders. It's kind of a how-to or what-to that tells them, here's what's going on, and here's what you need to be aware of, and here's what you need to be doing for every grade level. We host College Night at Blossom Athletic Center. If you've ever attended, you almost don't see any floor space. It's bumper to bumper with attendees and over 100 colleges and universities. The high schools host parent night for both seniors and junior parents to give them the same information they've already shared with their children. We have e-blast for communication that has proven to be very effective. At the 8th grade level, we administer the READY step, which measures skills that students need to be on track to be successful. It's kind of a precursor to the PSAT, which then to the SAT leads on to that. Elementary school has field trips to different local colleges and universities. They also have college reps that come and visit. Sometimes they host their own college day on their campuses. At every level, we promote rigorous classes, such as pre-AP, which eventually leads to AP. Another item that we thought of is that every campus needs to have a poster that'll be displayed prominently, maybe the counseling office or in some prominent area that talks about college or career readiness, and our committee will be providing a poster to every level. I hope that we can do that every year to, add new life to the poster idea. Next, I'd like to introduce Brian Moy.
Good evening. With the last specific result that you're going to hear about tonight, this is a very narrow focus item. It doesn't go nearly as broad and exciting as a lot of the ones that you've heard before. But basically, it's redefining the district's funding formula for allocating campus funds. This is not does not have anything to do with allocating people. This is the monies that are available to the principal to conduct business at their campus on a day-to-day basis. It makes up about $5.6 million of the roughly $500 million general operating budget. What was found as a problem was some people didn't understand how the formula worked, and it had reached a point where people had thought it had become inequitable. In 2006-07, and again in 2010 and 11, due to austerity, we've made cuts to this pot of money to the point where this pot of money has been reduced 14%. And at the same time, the formula itself had not kept up with changes to student demographics, and the formulas had campus maximums. There was a ceiling. So what we found was that there were campuses with varying student needs, varying demographics, all at the same level of funding. So to address that, the action team, I went through a couple of versions of what the formula could look like and got input from the action team. And basically, it very clearly lays out that every campus is going to receive X amount per student, Y amount more if you have an at-risk population, Z amount more if you have economically disadvantaged, and so on. And to make sure that no campus lost funds throughout this process, we made sure that the formulas worked to where there was no further reduction to funding. And in the June 2nd budget study session, you heard a little bit about this, and it added about $400,000 to next year's budget. It returns about 7% of the 14% that was cut. And while this will be monitored ongoing to make sure that it does not create an inequitable situation again, this specific result is pretty much finalized. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Gottardi.
Well, I'm sure first thing I want to do is just thank each and every one of these people. Although they're not alone, there's many of the educators in the room here tonight, as well as many other people who obviously have been very instrumental in the strategic design transformational process. But for these 9 people, I mean, please understand that they have a full-time job. And now they're still working on these specific results.
Exactly.
But an awful lot of great things have come out of this entire process. And it's been an awful lot of work and a lot of energy. But obviously we have what I believe, and I think will be supported by you, is just an awful lot of good plans for just these 9. I mean, we still have 27 more specific results that will roll out over the next 3 years. So staff is here to answer any questions you might have. We just felt like after year 1, going into August, first to school, we need to give you a report on where we've been and what are we going to implement in year 1. So we'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have, if you have any at all.
Board members with questions?
I have one.
Sure.
I know that there's a lot of information here, and a lot of it's new things, and getting the teachers involved and all of that. But one of the things we talked about in there was that along with all of these changes, and for lack of a better word, we have to get rid of some things. I forget what we called that.
It's called strategic
abandonment. I just want to call it getting rid of. So,
Same thing.
So I was wondering if some of that is going on at the same time.
Good question.
I'll be glad to address strategic abandonment, and then I'll ask Terry if I missed anything. Absolutely.
Okay.
About 3 or 4 months ago, I'm kind of getting my timeline messed up here, but we actually took this to the principals at a principals meeting where we started talking about the strategic abandonment process. Patty and Terry led the principals in a strategic abandonment exercise, of which I think they came up with, in a very short amount of time, they came up with what they considered was 65 suggestions. We have vetted through all 65 of those, and all 4 of the associate superintendents and myself have had to answer for each of those 65, and we said we would either implement that change or we cannot implement that change, and here's why. A lot of times there was a state law that said we couldn't abandon that. So we've vetted that with the school principals, but then they have taken it back to their faculties, and they have vetted this strategic abandonment process with their faculties over the last couple of months. So to answer your question, a lot of time, a lot of energy has been exerted for strategic abandonment. But as you heard me say at the strategic design meetings, there's no way we can put 36 specific results on our teachers and on our counselors and administrators and our students over the next 4 years if we don't take some things off their plate. So yes, an awful lot of work has gone into reducing or eliminating things that we've been doing in this district since whenever.
Whoever was a pup.
Whenever. And I feel like it's been a very healthy process. I think people will tell you that we were all a little nervous about that process, because it's easy for me in my world to say, you should get rid of that over there. But it's been a healthy process in the fact that we're opening up, we're collaborating, we're discussing, and it could be a little department, could be a division, or it could be a campus. And they're having some nice discussion. It's really surprising to hear discussions about where one grade level may want to do something, but the rest of the school doesn't want to do that. So you vet through that system. And a lot of times that's not an easy process. And it's not a quick process. But remember, our strategic abandonment goal is ongoing. We will continue to look at ways in which we can do things differently. So does that help your question?
I think it
Mrs.
was
Perkins?
worth asking about, because it was one of the things that some of the folks that had been through the transformation process prior to us really, really strongly talked about, and said that that was a difficult thing, for people to go through. And I know that when we were in the in the meetings, we talked about how vital that would be in order to implement other things, would be to get rid of some things. And I just wanted to be sure that we were going through that process along with everything else that we were doing. So I really appreciate you sharing that that is an ongoing
Let me give you, I'll just give you one or two real quick that were in my bailiwick, okay? Principals, not every one of them, but many of the principals said to us that last year, for a board meeting, if y'all remember, we had the principals over here to recognize them. I thought that'd be a great idea to bring them in here and recognize them. And you know what they said? They said that was fantastic. We really appreciated that the superintendent and the board of trustees recognized us. But you know what? We don't need to go all the way over there to the central office to be recognized. You can recognize us electronically. You can recognize us with an email. So this was a system where we had to leave the ego at the door.
That's okay.
We left the ego at the door, and you know what I told the principals? I said, done. We can do that. We will not recognize you anymore. It was good humor. They enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. There were things that we told them we could not abandon. But that was an easy one. We will be glad to come up with a video, come up with an email, come up with something else in the way of recognizing the great work the principals do. But that's one thing they asked us not to do, and we jumped on it. So of the 65, that was an easy one. That was a done deal. But other ones were not so easy. Terry, I know that you're kind of the one that's helped me with the strategic abandonment process. Have I missed anything in this summary?
No, I think you've done an excellent job. You touched on the fact that the principals were eager to make a list of things that we could abandon at our end. But when it was passed to the campus level, my phone rang off the wall saying, they want to give up this. Are we allowed to do it? They want to do this. We've done it since the beginning of time. They're mad because we're going to give up. So it was a great conversation. And what we saw was we are a very unique group of people, and what is not important to one party is very important to another person. So we proceeded cautiously and tried to honor everybody's opinion in it.
But I'm sure there were hard decisions that had to be ultimately made in terms of abandonment.
There were, and also some investigation as to what are the unintended consequences if we do that. We don't want to just do it without a lot of thought and then later think, oh, there was a good reason why we did that.
But there were a lot of things that this executive staff here, I mean, it opened our eyes to some things that we said, you know, we have been doing that for a long time. We're not sure that it may not have unintended consequences, and that in these years of austerity, in these years of having to do more with less, we have to look at everything. We have to figure out better ways to do things with not more people, but the same amount of people. So it was a healthy exercise. I can tell you, it's been about 4 months we've been working on strategic abandonment, and we will continue to work on that. We really will.
Good. Thank you.
Any more questions?
I just have a comment.
Go ahead, Mrs. Wolf.
You know, being the new girl, and I know that I won't be the new girl forever, but this is so impressive to me, and I was so fortunate to be able to attend a couple of the sessions, and it got me really excited about serving on this board, and to see this presentation now and the hard work. I wrote down a couple of words because this is incredibly thoughtful. And I can tell that there was so much thought that was going into this because you cannot be everything to everyone. And I think that just speaks volumes. It's very exciting to me, and I just commend you, and I'm really happy to see this. I mean, I read this all because I think it's important. And so I just, it's wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Wolf. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say, too,
Sure.
sort of to follow up with what Sandy said, and I think Bridget, too, can relate to this. When this thing first started, it really felt not unwieldy, but boy, it was huge. Yes. And I really had a lot of trouble. How are we going to do it? I mean, the abandonment part was like Bridget said, so critical. but the way that y'all have, I was worried things would fall off and disappear and we'd forget about them. And to see so much that's been done already is really exciting. I can't believe the changes that we're embracing that are so positive and so far-reaching for us as a district. So that's just, I was really scared as the whole thing wrapped up. I was really worried how we were going to do it.
If I might comment on that, I think part of the success, and we're not there yet, but is that there are many structures in place, and there were a lot of structures in place along the way. It was very purposeful, and Patty Castellano and Deb Caldwell worked very hard to put those structures into place and to make sure that we had a purpose at each meeting and an end product at each meeting, and then we looked at that for the next meeting. And so there have been a lot of plans and structures in place along the way, and there will continue to be.
But I think, too, like Dr. Gotardi said, you already have a full-time job. And y'all have taken this on, too. And you've just done a tremendous job at it. This whole team that's presented today is, I know, just the tip of the iceberg. So the way that everyone has stepped up is really incredible. So thanks.
Change is difficult. It is.
And sometimes exciting, though, too.
It is important to go through this. And it was Mrs. Perkins and Mrs. Galindo back about 13 or 14 months ago that read a quote at the Thomas Jefferson Memorial that I will use in my presentation on Wednesday of this week at June Leadership, where Thomas Jefferson said a long time ago, it is our job to keep up with the times. Absolutely. And that is exactly what we're doing. We're trying to be in front of the times. Right. And that's what we're trying to do. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for allowing us to go through this very important process. And again, to all the administrators and the teachers, the students were phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Teachers were phenomenal that worked on this strategic design. So, we're not even close to being there, but we're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's a big, shiny, white light.
Mrs. Chigi, I just have one question to follow up with what the other board members have asked, and I think this is really important. When I read your matrix, I was exhausted, I really was. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I understand that you have other things to do, as do your 9 colleagues. I think this is really important, and this is my question. So as you track evidence of completion and as you track progress, if there are things that don't work, or if there are negative feedback, I'm thinking about feedback and how it all comes back full circle, so that we do know if the progression is going the right way. Do you feel like this system has a mechanism by which this can happen without being punitive to anyone?
I maybe don't understand. So that if one of the things we put in place perhaps
doesn't get an unintended consequence, or the result you expected it to yield is not what you got. So do the others, are they empowered to say, oh my gosh, I thought this is what I'd get and I didn't, or it didn't quite work out? Do you feel that this system allows for that, and that we can maybe go again or another cycle?
And
that's my question.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think that I know our district well enough to know that I don't think we would continue with something that wouldn't be good for students.
That's good to know.
And so I don't anticipate that, but I know us well enough to know that we would not continue with something that would not be good for students.
I'm talking minor tweaks. If something doesn't work, or if you see that this is not what you expected, or it's not what's good for students, you modify, and that everybody knows that they can come back to you as the lead or to whomever and say, wait a minute, help me with this.
Well, and
that's what I want to know.
An example of that might be the goal that I talked about today, because we actually have met with the Roosevelt cluster about the scope and sequence and what bothers the teachers in that cluster about it, and what's good about it, and what they would like to see changed. And we talked about that flexibility, and we saw that we have to be a little bit careful about that. Sure. Because it was great for me to witness two teachers side by side, one brand new teacher, one very veteran teacher. And the new teacher said, whoa, whoa, I don't want 15 choices. I need step 1, step 2, step 3. And the veteran teacher said, no, no, I've got to know my 22 kids, what they need, the sign of the time, you know, what is right for my class. So all teachers are not created the same. So again, we have to be thoughtful about how we do it.
And flexible, and that you are getting the feedback that you need.
Mr. President, this is very close to like a campus improvement plan.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
evolving. It's dynamic.
Right.
We're going to continue to look at it. And if things aren't working, we're going to fix it. We have to.
And everybody
It's that
understands
simple.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Open
thank you.
communication.
Thanks for the answer.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mrs. Chidgey, and all of you for the presentation.
Thank you. It's a very large team. It's
No, it is,
lots
and
of
we're
people.
glad to see it.
Thank you.
Great job.
Loved it.
Okay, next item, Mrs. Huey.
9, board business. A, possible action regarding 2014 TASB advocacy resolution.
This is in regards to what we do as a school board in submitting resolutions to the advocacy agenda. And at this point, we do not need to take action, as we are going to develop our own legislature agenda at the July 28th special meeting workshop, in which Deborah Caldwell will facilitate. So we don't need to take action. However, Mrs. Huey currently serves on the board on behalf of Northeast. Is there anything you'd like to apprise us about or update us on?
We have a deadline for submitting resolutions, and so we just need to observe that. So I think it's the June 28th special meeting. It's July, but I think it's June 28th.
June, okay.
Yeah, because the deadline for submission is July 1.
June 28th.
Yeah.
June 28th is when we will go over this?
June 23rd.
Okay, what's the date, Marie? What do you,
For the work. No, June 20th. I'm sorry. June.
23rd?
28th or June 23rd?
No, it is July. It is July. It's July 28th.
Deadline for submissions is July 1.
That's for TASB. That's for submitting new resolutions to TASB.
Right.
Deb Caldwell is facilitating and getting
So
together
that's an issue.
a workshop to submit them. This is just TASB's deadline, but there it is for resolutions.
We could still submit resolutions on behalf of our school district on July 28th, and we still meet the appropriate deadline. Mr. Villarreal? So what's the deadline?
Yes, ma'am. Deb, can you come to the podium? Deb Caldwell's here. We've been working on trying to have a workshop for the board to come up with our individual, but this TASB is just like generic one for everyone.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. The TASB deadline is July 1. This is an opportunity for school districts from across Texas to submit ideas for the TASB advocacy. You guys have the opportunity to submit resolutions to them for consideration. Separately, we are encouraging you to create a legislative agenda that is unique to Northeast, that addresses our issues specifically and would not be perhaps with the TASB more generic resolutions. So there really are two things at hand.
Okay.
One is a submission for TASB, which is due July 1st. And if there is anything particular that you would like to take forward on a state level, you may do so. Then we are also encouraging you to develop a legislative agenda to correctly reflect Northeast's needs and issues that we would use to promote to our local legislators, so as they start to file bills in November, they understand what our needs are.
Okay, so that says to me, and board weigh in, that we need to do this soon, now, tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we want we want our advocacy items to be part of the TASB resolution.
That's absolutely correct. That's
Okay.
why this item is on here for possible action regarding TASB. The July 28th
Yeah.
would be the district-specific resolutions.
Yeah, I'm confused. I'm sorry.
If we want to, I think we were under the impression that we wanted to submit a resolution concerning elections.
Right.
And we wanted that to be presented to TASB's
Part
resolution
of their-
committee that would then be part of convention in September. That deadline is July 1.
That is correct.
So if we don't have a board meeting between now and July 1,
We missed the deadline.
I sent the board.
Yes.
resolution.
Right.
If you want that resolution to go to TASB, we can.
Can send that.
We do.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I thought.
because it is not specifically part, that particular resolution is not part of our
Agenda.
attachments this evening, is that still acceptable? You did, you sent that to us.
You
and I
did.
think- And we can vote on what you sent us, but it is not as part of one of our attachments this evening.
But we do have a board meeting on Monday. When we
June
got,
23rd.
June 23rd, we have the board adoption or the budget adoption.
Okay, could we
do it-
put that on that agenda so that we can have
With
it
the
for
specific
discussion?
item, so that we can all read it and understand it and know what we're voting on.
Is your specific item the elections?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna adopt the TASB advocacy resolution, but then we're also going to have an NEISD agenda item that we will send to TASB
We would
on
like,
the elections.
yes, we would like our resolution to become part of the TASB advocacy, yes.
We'll do it next Monday night.
Okay, so therefore, there's no action on this item at this point.
Right, we
It will
cannot
be
fill in that form
postponed
yet
until,
yeah.
okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Ms. King. Next item,
B, possible action regarding TASB Board of Directors for TASB Region 20, Position A, and I believe we're postponing that item until the July 14th meeting.
correct, so there is no action there.
Okay.
Next
10,
item.
new business for possible board action. A, board policy. 1, possible action regarding board policy DNA local, second reading.
Okay, and this is, lost it, Dr. Newman. Yes, thank you.
President Bresnahan, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff. This is the second reading of Board Policy DNA, and we ask that the board approve this policy as presented. Mr. Joel Trevino, our executive director, is here should you have any questions.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mr. Trevino? Thank you, Mr. Trevino. Do I have a motion regarding this action item?
I move that we approve the second reading of board policy DNA local as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Huey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. White, thank you. All those, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it and the motion carries. Next item.
2, possible action regarding board policy EIF local, first reading.
Dr. Newman? No, it's Mrs. Hawkins, sorry.
Thank you, President Bresnahan, board members, and Dr. Gotardi. Colleen Borman, Executive Director for Curriculum Compliance, and Gary Hardcastle will present this.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff. Tonight, Dr. Gotardi asked us to review the changes in graduation requirements for first-time ninth graders, grade students in 2014 and thereafter. In other words, are today's 8th grade students. These changes were brought about by House Bill 5 in the 83rd legislative session and were referenced in policy EIF local, which we offer to you tonight for the first evening. Before I get started, I do want to take a moment to introduce our team. This is a very large project, and so I want to start out and just recognize some of those team members that have helped us along the way. Gary Hardcastle, Senior Director for Curriculum Compliance. Joy Culpepper, Director for Guidance Services. Johnny Vahalik, Director for Career and Technology. Justin Misseldine from Career and Technology as well. Deb Caldwell, Director for Governmental Relations. And many others in the Division of Instruction and also the Division of Campus Support. It truly was a collaborative effort from the divisions to get this project done. Graduation requirements changed when the governor signed House Bill 5 from the 83rd State Texas Legislature in the summer of 2013. In January of 2014, the State Board of Education adopted the rules that apply to graduation requirements, which mandates that students must satisfy testing requirements, satisfy program requirements, and demonstrate proficiency in specified communication skills as determined by the school district. Let's review testing requirements and academic requirements more closely. Previous law required students to pass up to 15 EOCs. House Bill 5 reduced that number to 5 exams for all students. Effective this school year, for all students under STAR, the state requires the students pass English 1, English 2, Biology, Algebra 1, and U.S. History EOC exams. House Bill 5 also changed graduation requirements by creating a new plan called the Foundation High School Program. The Foundation High School Program will replace the minimum, recommended, and distinguished programs that apply to current high school students. This degree program for students who enter high school in 2014-15 and thereafter provide options for endorsements, distinguished level achievement, and performance acknowledgments. For those students already in high school, the Commissioner has provided a transition plan that also allows the student to graduate under the Foundation program along with the minimum, recommended, or distinguished programs. Students must earn 22 credits under the Foundation High School program and pass 5 EOCs. Students will pursue an endorsement by earning an additional math and science credit and 2 electives for a total of 26 credits. An endorsement is a program of study that reflects your interests. There are 5 endorsement options: multidisciplinary studies, STEM, business and industry, public services, and arts and humanities. When a student earns an Algebra 2 credit along with an endorsement, he or she will also earn the Distinguished Level of Achievement, which will be used to determine automatic college admission to public universities in Texas. The Distinguished Level of Achievement will provide a strong foundation for college and career readiness. We believe that our students can achieve the Distinguished Level of Achievement. Therefore, the district will begin every incoming 9th grader on the pathway to seek a distinguished level of achievement so that all options will be available to them after high school graduation. Let's begin with the Foundation High School program. On the screen are the credit requirements for the Foundation High School program. Generally speaking, the program provides more flexibility for students by providing them with greater course selections. The 5 courses highlighted in blue indicate that these subjects have a corresponding EOC exam. Students will be required to earn 4 credits in English Language Arts. The Foundation High School program mandates English 1, 2, and 3, but allows students to choose their 4th credit from a list of advanced English courses determined by the State Board of Education. Math, science, and social studies require 3 credits. For math, students need Algebra 1, geometry, and an advanced mathematics course. For science, students will need biology, IPC, chemistry or physics, and an advanced science course. For social studies, students will need world geography or world history, U.S. history, U.S. government, and economics. Students will also need 1 PE credit or an approved PE substitution. 2 credits will be required in languages other than English, and computer science will be allowed along with some additional exceptions. However, it's important to note that foreign languages are preferred by our colleges and universities at this time. Students will also need 1 fine arts credit to graduate. 5 elective courses are required. However, Northeast will continue with the 0.5 credit for health. In total, students will be required to earn 22 credits under the Foundation High School program. Students graduating under this plan are eligible for general admission to a 4-year college or institution. Gary's going to continue with the endorsements.
Okay, along with the Foundation High School program, students will work toward earning an endorsement. An endorsement is a program of study that reflects student interests. Endorsements will also prepare students for particular college programs and careers. This is an important change across the state to align high school coursework with the workforce demands. Before entering high school, 9th graders have been asked to choose or select an endorsement from 5 possible options. The 5 endorsements are as follows: the multidisciplinary studies, STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, business and industry, public services, and arts and humanities. Students chose one endorsement, but may earn more than one endorsement. Each endorsement includes a complete list of courses that students can choose to fulfill the endorsement requirement. Any ISD will offer courses under all endorsements, but specific course offerings may vary from school to school. Every high school will offer all 5 endorsements. A student's schedule for over the next 4 years of high school will depend on the endorsement he or she selects. The multidisciplinary studies endorsement will be the default option for students who do not select an endorsement. Let's review the specific graduation requirements for the foundation program with endorsements. On the screen are the basic credit requirements for the foundation high school program that Colleen just spoke about. All endorsements require specific courses in 8 areas, and a number of required credits may change by endorsement area. Students must have 4 credits in mathematics, 4 credits in science, along with 7 elective credits. With an endorsement, students will need 26 credits. In any ISD, students will have an opportunity to earn at least 28 credits over their 4-year tenure in high school. The multidisciplinary studies endorsement allows students to sample courses from different areas. It provides flexibility to students to explore different topics. This endorsement may be a good choice for those students who are unsure of their future academic endeavors after high school. The multidisciplinary studies endorsement focuses on 4 foundation subject areas: English, math, science, and social studies. It also focuses on advanced placement courses and dual credit courses. This endorsement does not have a specific career pathway and does not lead to any industry certification. Students who do not make an endorsement selection before entering high school will be assigned the multidisciplinary studies endorsement until they make a change. To meet the multidisciplinary endorsement requirements, students will follow one of 3 programs of study: advanced placement or dual credit courses, academic foundation subjects, or AVID, the Advancement via Individual Determination Program. Please note that AVID has program requirements for admission. The STEM endorsement allows students to focus on science, technology, engineering, and math courses. This endorsement requires Algebra 2, chemistry, and physics. Students who earn an endorsement and Algebra 2 credit will also obtain the Distinguished Level of Achievement, which will be used to determine the automatic admission to a public universities in Texas. Students can earn the STEM endorsement by following one of 4 programs of study: advanced math, advanced science, computer science, and engineering. The business and industry endorsement allows students to focus on particular career paths. The completion of this endorsement may lead to a business or industry certification. Students can earn business and industry endorsements by following one of 21 programs of study, and I will read these out to you. I apologize for that. Agri-science, animation, architectural design, automotive, broadcast journalism, business, construction management, culinary arts, debate, electrical, fashion design, finance, graphic design, information technology, interior design, journalism, newspaper, marketing, public speaking, video production, welding, yearbook. Please note that these programs of study may vary from school to school in our district. Public services endorsement allows students to focus on a particular career path, and some of the options may lead to a business or industry certificate. This endorsement may be a good choice for students who are interested in careers in education, medicine, law, or the military. Under the public services endorsement, students may select one of 5 programs of study: education and training, health science, human services, JROTC, and law. The arts and humanities endorsement allows students to focus on English, social studies, fine arts, languages other than English, which may not lead to a business or industry certificate. Students can earn an arts and humanities endorsement by following one of 5 programs of study: fine arts, English, social studies, foreign language with 4 levels of the same language, and foreign language with 2 levels of 2 different languages. After meeting the requirements of the Foundation High School program and at least 1 endorsement, a student may earn a distinguished level of achievement. The distinguished level of achievement requires 26 credits, the same as earning an endorsement. The only difference is that students must earn Algebra 2 credit to earn the distinguished level of achievement. This will be used to determine eligibility in the state's top 10% automatic admission policy. The distinguished level of achievement closely resembles the recommended graduation plan that today's high school students fall under, and it will build a strong foundation for college and career readiness. Northeast ISD believes that most students will be able to attain the distinguished level of achievement. Therefore, the district will begin every incoming 9th grade student on a pathway to seek the distinguished level of achievement, so that all options will be available to them after high school graduation. Finally, students may also earn a performance acknowledgement for outstanding performance in dual credit courses, in bilingual biliteracy, on an AP exam, on the PSAT, SAT, or the ACT, and with a business or industry certification or license. Diplomas and transcripts will indicate any earned performance acknowledgement.
Tonight it is recommended that the board approve the first reading of policy EIF local as submitted.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for our speakers before we go through the motion process? Yes, Mrs. Wolf?
I just have one question. Can you go back to the, I think it was about the 3rd slide, where you showed Algebra 2? I think it was there was an overlayment, and I'm just curious. Actually, my question, we don't have to go to the slide, but my question is, to receive the, I'm wondering about, I didn't hear anything about a minimum grade for Algebra 2.
Well, for a student to be considered successful in Algebra 2, they'll have to earn a 70 in both semesters of the course. So they have to pass the course, basically.
Okay, so it's just passing, just flat out passing the course. And I was just curious because I had seen the 80 on the other one. So that's what we're proposing, is that really they just have to make a 70 in Algebra 2.
They have to make a 70 to pass the course.
Okay.
Well, and along with that, I wondered about advanced mathematics. What courses are advanced mathematics?
There's a long menu that's been provided to us by the State Board of Education.
Okay.
Some of those courses include pre-calculus,
So
calculus.
all the math that, yeah.
Anything that Algebra 2 is considered a prerequisite for, those are considered advanced math courses.
Statistics, trig.
Okay. Anybody else?
I have a question. You may not know this statistic. How many students do we have that are currently on the distinguished path prior to this? Like you're saying, everybody now we're going to assume that they're going to be on the distinguished. And I'm just curious, right now, we've got the minimum, the recommended, the,
DAP. Distinguished.
thank you.
A lot of our seniors who graduate actually become DAP graduates after graduation. They have to meet 4 advanced measures, and those advanced measures, often we don't get those results from the AP exams until after the students already had their graduation ceremony. So,
But is there a percent, I guess what I'm trying to determine is, I mean, I think it's great that we want everybody to, that's our goal, but how realistic is that? Or what is our, is there a percentage right now that we can say 80% of our kids have graduated DAP, or?
Let me
Does that
have
question
Joy
make
Culpepper
sense?
come to the Director of Guidance.
Okay.
She may be able to help us a little bit here. This is Joy Culpepper, Director of Guidance.
Thank you. While I can't give you a specific percentage, I do want to say this. The current Distinguished Achievement Program, the DAP, for the current 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, is not equivalent to the distinguished level of achievement under the foundation. There are two different, just they share the word distinguished.
Okay, that's maybe where I'm getting hung up.
But the current DAP is extremely difficult to achieve, and a low percentage of people get it. They strive for it, and some get it, and they end up on the recommended, which is awesome.
Right.
But the new distinguished level of achievement is more, it's similar to our current recommended, which many of our kids achieve.
Okay, that is very helpful. Thank you.
Mrs. Wolf, did you have a question? Mrs. Huey? Yes, that is very helpful.
Mike Laura just gave me some information. 85.3% of our students graduated this past year on the recommended and the distinguished. So we would have to break that number down to find out which were just on the recommended and which were on the distinguished.
Well, I guess I was trying to compare apples to apples, and I wasn't doing that. I was comparing apples to oranges. So, but that is helpful. Thank you.
Is it possible, Dr. Gotardi, to get a copy of this presentation? That would be helpful as a resource for all of us. Board
No
members?
problem.
This was a
Okay.
great presentation.
Yeah, well, it's very,
I loved it.
very
We're going to
succinct.
test you on it Monday night.
Oh, please don't.
We'll give you better send it.
There's a lot of information
No, there
here.
You better send it. Yeah, and that's what's really great, though. This is one of the best capsulized versions of it, because I've seen quite a few of them already.
We had lots of helpers.
This was
Deb
really
Caldwell
nice.
Deb Caldwell.
was instrumental. This is Deb's work, and we thank her tremendously.
It's on the STAR website, the
Oh.
STAR website.
There you go.
It's up for parents.
Good, okay, thanks.
Thank you
That was
very
quick,
much.
Good, 'cause I'm going to recommend it this week at TASB for people to go look at it, so, because this is great. People have a lot of questions on this, so, on the states. Thanks.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve first reading of Board Policy EIF Local as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Wolf. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you both very much for your help with this. Next item.
3, possible action regarding Board Policy Update 99, second and final reading.
Dr. Gotardi?
Thank you, Madam President,
Sure.
board members, ladies and gentlemen. Last month, we brought you the first reading of Update 99. We'd like to approve the second reading of Update 99 this evening, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have, if you have any at all.
Board members with questions for Dr. Gotardi? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Move to approve Policy Update 99, second and final reading.
Thank you, Mrs. Huey. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you. Next item.
B, Human Resources. 1, possible action regarding proposed compensation plan for 2014-2015.
Dr. Newman?
President Bresnahan, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests, I would like to ask Mr. Joel Trevino, Executive Director for Human Resources, to address this topic.
Mr. Trevino?
Thank you and good evening. You might remember that you have been thoroughly reviewed the compensation and the budget plan by Mr. Brian Moy. Today, I'm here to recommend the following compensation plan that encompasses 3 major components. The first one is in regards to teacher salary and the teacher salary schedule. Second, professional and administrative pay scales. and the third one in regards to classified pay scales. In the teacher pay scale, our recommendation is that we need to increase the starting salary for beginning teachers and librarians from 0 to 2 years to $49,288. For eligible teachers and librarians, grant an across the board $1,604 annual general pay increase. For the professional and administrative pay scales, we recommend that we adjust the pay scales by a 1.5% and then grant a 3% general pay increase for eligible employees off of the midpoint of the new pay scales. And then for classified pay scales, also adjust the classified pay scales by 2% initially, and then at that point grant a 4% general pay increase for eligible employees off of the midpoint of the new 2014-2015 pay grade. And at this point, you know that the budget has been thoroughly discussed with you, and this will definitely, of course, impact our budget for the 2014-2015. So at this point, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
We have two things. So we can entertain questions from Mr. Trevino, and we also have one individual that has signed up to discuss this exact issue. But first, I'll entertain questions from any board members for Mr. Trevino. Anyone? Mrs. Grana? Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. White.
Madam Chair, if I recall, during the budget session, with this recommended, with the 3% recommended raise, if in fact we would increase that past 3%, if I understood Mr. Moyer, then the balance, our fund balance, would probably go below what is recommended. Is that correct, or could I?
That's correct.
Let me answer it in two different ways.
All right, thank you.
Based on the compensation package, among all the other things that we talked about at the last budget session, we'll bring this all to you for full approval next Monday night. We will dip into the fund balance, Mr. White, some $16 million. Is that close?
Yes, sir.
Dan? But to answer your question about whether or not we'll dip below a certain amount that's not recommended, you're talking about the number of months that we're supposed to have in our fund balance. Mr. White, we're not projecting to be below any level at all that is not recommended by state standards. Dan?
Well, I understand that, and that's one reason why we can recommend 3%, if I understand, without going below. But if we moved it to recommend more than 3%, there's a chance that our fund balance would go below the standard.
That is correct.
Of what we need.
And this spreadsheet we showed you last week will show that the following year, if we don't do anything, absolutely will fall below that mark. And that is not something that we want to do, nor do we want to put ourselves in that kind of position. Dan, did I answer that correctly?
Yes, sir. Last week when we came, we presented a 3% for administrators and 4% for paraprofessionals. And then at this time next year, if nothing happens, at 15-16, we'll be still above, we'll be like almost at 2 months of operating revenue if nothing changes and we don't give any raises, using 14-15 as the guide for 15-16. So 15-16 will be coming down to 2 months operating revenue. So no, sir, we wouldn't be dipping below the 2 months.
Not at the 3.
So, not at the 3, no,
Right.
sir.
And that's the point I'm trying to make is when the amount of money available is generally what dictates the amount of raise that we can give to employees. And as I recall, a few years ago, we didn't give any raise. And this time, we can give a 3% as a result of the funds available. On the other hand, if we increase it to what is being asked for, that I see out on the placards, then we stand a chance of putting our school district at peril in terms of being solvent. So I just wanted to see if I understood it correctly, that you are recommending what is considered the largest amount that you can at this point in time.
Absolutely. If we thought we could bring a 3.25, 3.5, or 4 to you, we would be bringing that to you this evening. We do not feel like we can do that at all. In fact, I would tell you, as Mr. Villarreal has already stated, that if we don't get any relief with the legislature next spring, then we will probably have to be looking at cost containment for the 15-16 school year, or we will be getting close to that number of months operating that we don't want to get below.
And Dr.
Thank you.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Dan?
No, I was just going to say, a 1%, if we were to do the professionals, another 1% would be closer to $3.8 million on top of what we already budgeted. So if we were to go from 3 to 4%, it would cost another 3.8 mil.
And the 3.8 million impacts the fund balance how?
Yeah, well, I mean, next year.
Other than
yes,
other than a deduction. So
Yes,
that,
yes, ma'am, because
you feel like it's compromising.
Yes, ma'am.
Number of months.
Because right now, like I said, if we don't do anything, if the state doesn't do anything next year for
Yes.
15, 16, and the raises that we give this year, remember, I mean, we add to our balance next
Sure.
year, we should be at 2 months at this point next year, talking about 15, 16.
Scary already.
Just.
Does that answer your question, Mr.
Yeah,
Lyon?
yes, thank you.
Mrs.
Thank you for your clarification. I think it just behooves all of us, including all employees and what have you, to be an advocate to the state for more money. And then, of course, it's not the school board that can just give raise past the amount of funds available. So as time go on, then of course we all need to advocate to the legislature for more funds and equitable funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. White. Mrs. Gronum?
Well, I'm not sure I even want to go there, but by what you're saying, it kind of sounds like maybe next year we won't be able to do a raise. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am. When we talked about it in the budget study session 2, we're hoping the state does something. You know, the lawsuit seems to be stuck in mud, and I think we're going to go through the next legislative session without any relief through the courts. Next year, at this time, we should know by June, because the session usually ends at the last week in May. So then it goes to the governor's office for signature. But usually we'll find out something like last year we found out in May that they were moving us away from Target and putting us back on formula. So that was a really big relief.
Yeah.
We didn't get as much as others, but you know the state is sitting on they're sitting on a lot of money.
Yes.
And they're going to have to do something with that money. So we're hoping that even if they just give us an inflationary, hey, here's another 4%, you know, that would bring us in some money so we could do something next year. So, but, you know, as it sits now, I mean, looking at it from today going forward, you know, next year, if nothing changes, that's what we always try to tell Dr. Gottardi and executive staff that, you know, we got to be careful because, you know, we can't go below that 2%.
Well,
I mean, 2 months, I'm
we
sorry.
have to be very prudent.
Yes.
Well, I mean, as a board, that's one of our biggest responsibilities is fiscal prudency for this district, and we, albeit we'd like to do more, we have to consider that. I think you would all agree with that. So to reiterate, you believe that this is the most prudent course and the most prudent percentage for our employees.
Yes, ma'am. And part of our presentation, we did ask for another 1.1 million for our health fund.
Correct.
So hopefully next week, when we adopt that budget, that we, so we can have minimal increases to our employees having to do with health insurance. So that's what we're
Understood.
kind of hoping.
Go ahead, Mrs. Huey, please.
I wanted to add, too, to Mr. White's issue on advocacy. It seems to me that if the elections go as projected, we have a potential of having a Senate chair who is not favorable to public education as the chair of public ed. And I think we could be in extreme trouble if that happens. I think I've heard that there's a couple of other names being thrown around, but the indications are that the chair of public ed will be someone who despises us. And I think that we have a potential for more hurt than we're in now.
Not us Northeast, but us public education.
Public
Us public education,
Right.
us public education,
Absolutely.
yes, as a whole, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about it this week and next week at TASB Summer Leadership, but it seems to me from the political reports I'm reading, and so that just goes right back to what Mr. White's saying, is it's incumbent on all of us. I know they're tired of hearing from whiny school board members that please value us, please value our children, but I think it's incumbent on all of us as a community to, whether it's get to Austin or elect the right people or something, we've got to, we've had a bunch of mad moms that have gotten together in the last couple of years. So maybe it's time for some more of those mad mamas to step up.
Mr. Trevino, thank you. Before we move forward with this item, we have one person that is,
Welcome, thank you.
thank you, has signed up to speak. And before she does that, I would like to go over our general rules. The trustees, every one of us, welcome comments from members of the public during this time of the meeting. Generally, board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, although members may request further information or a future agenda item on a matter raised during public comment. As explained fully in the board's written procedures for this time, the matters from the floor portion is a limited public forum. Accordingly, speakers may present on a topic related to district business for 3 minutes in this case, for 3 minutes, since it's an agendized item, but are not permitted to make the following: personal complaints about an individual staff or board member that should be raised using the district's grievance policies, a personnel action, a student disciplinary matter, a complaint about a particular student, and/or pending litigation. Any person who persists in speaking on these topics after being directed not to do so will lose the remainder of their time to speak and may lose their privilege of addressing this board at future meetings. We do welcome written comments at any time, either through email at board@neisd.net or by mail care of the superintendent's office at 8961 Tesoro Drive, 6th floor, San Antonio, Texas, 78217. Mrs. Huey, would you call the first and
Selena
only?
Valdez.
Hi, my name is Selena Valdez. My address is 7113 San Pedro. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, members of the executive staff, and guests. Northeast Education Association would like to personally thank Dr. Gotardi, Dan Villarreal, and Brian Moy on meeting with us several times to review the 2014 budget, proposed budget. As was presented at the June 2nd budget meeting, the employee share of health insurance will be raised 2.5%. As was learned this past spring, the rise in deductibles is eating at this 3% pay raise that is recommended. We do thank you for your discussion and your decision, as this will give the teachers and the public the level of support you have for those who teach your children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Valdez. We'll go ahead and continue on with this item. Do I have a motion regarding this item?
I move that we approve the compensation plan for the 2014-2015 school year as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Perkins. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wheat. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item.
C, Business Services. One, possible action regarding consideration and approval of an order by the Board of Trustees of the Northeast Independent School District authorizing the remarketing of Northeast Independent School District variable rate unlimited tax school building bonds, Series 2013A.
Thank you, and this is Mr. Villarreal.
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Gotardi, executive staff, and guests. This is a request to be able to remarket those variable bonds that we sold last year. It was a variable rate, so we need to go back and remarket those.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Villarreal? Seeing none, do I have a, go ahead.
Well, we're going to remarket on a variable rate. Does that mean the rate has gone down, or is it
When we
time
had-
to do something with it because the rates have a tendency to, we expect it to go up?
Yes, sir, but we going to try to remarket for either a 1 year or 2 year, depending on the rates. The rates have had a little bit of movement, but not severe enough to try to go to a fixed level.
Additional questions? Thank you, Mr.
Well,
White.
well, no, I'm trying to understand the purpose of dealing with it.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, in other words, it's time for it to.
Yes, sir, we had.
It's time, you have to do something with it.
Yes, sir, yeah. Last year at this time, we sold it for 1 year, in a 1 year increment. So we're going to go back and remarket and try to get a better rate or a different rate and see if we go out. Raul Villaseñor with Cabrera and, I'm sorry, with First Southwest is here in case you had any questions. He's our financial advisor. Okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
But anyway, I understand.
Yes, sir.
I understand the reason. Thank you.
Yeah, it looked like it went there. Any additional questions? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move we approve the adoption of the orders authorizing the remarketing of Northeast Independent School District variable rate unlimited tax school building bonds, Series 2013A, pursuant to a delegated sale as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Grona. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you. Next item.
D, consent. 1, business services. A, bid items. B, $50,000 purchases. 2, construction. A, 2011 bond, White Middle School, CMR Campus Improvement Project Bid Package 2, Athletic Addition and Campus Renovation CD approval. B, easements for drainage, streets, utilities, and various service agreements to support construction of the 2011 bond program projects at Tex Hill, Eisenhower, and White Middle Schools. C, professional services contracts, construction contracts, and related contract amendments supporting the 2007 and 2011 bond programs, design and construction requirements. 3, minutes from May 2014. 4, end of consent.
Thank you, Mrs. Huey. Are there any members that wish to pull an item from consent? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Second.
Mr. White? Mr. White, thank you, Mr. White. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you very much, and the motion carries. Next item.
11, reports. A, financial statement, review of expenditures.
Okay, these items have been provided to all of you. Next item.
12, matters from the floor, and we have no one else.
Okay, so thank you. Next item.
13, 12, okay, 13, board members' request for items to be placed on next month's agenda.
Is there a board member wishing to have an item placed on next month's agenda? Seeing none. Thank you. Next.
14, discussion and possible action regarding board member requests for reports from the administration.
We don't have any requests.
Big 15.
Next item.
Adjournment.
Thank you very much for your kind attention.